Hey everybody. I'm making these videos to show the other stations how we here at Boston 25 use DaVinci Resolve software to make our promos look better. Now, your CFO will love this. DaVinci Resolve is free, so you can download the trial version for free. It does about 95% of what the full up version does, which is only $1,000. But the trial version is what we use. I've never had a problem with it. I've never had it not do something I needed it to do. And you can't beat free for a price. So every promo I do goes through Resolve and every shot gets color corrected. Now there's plenty of videos out there that will show you how to round trip through your editor and how people use DaVinci Resolve. We use it with Avid. I cut everything in Avid, and then I bring it all in Resolve and color correct away to my heart's content. These videos aren't going to be the nuts and bolts of how to round trip stuff and how to actually use the software. It's going to kind of assume you know how to do that already. But I'm going to show you through the process and what I'm thinking about when I color correct these shots, which is the important part. Understanding the nuts and bolts of the software may look a bit intimidating, but it's not. What's really difficult is, well, what do you do with it? And that's what I'm going to try to show you guys. This is a shot we used in a promo about pharmacies that were overcharging people. So this is what we turned it into, and this is what was shot. So if we look at what was shot, just looking at this shot right away, obviously it's pretty blurry and it's pretty flat. It almost looks like it was shot in log. I don't like the softness of the guy. I don't like these colors in the background. They seem to take away. You don't know where to look at when you first look at this shot. It's in a promo, so it's going to be pretty quick. I need this guy to leap off the screen, and he's not doing that. So the very first thing I'm going to do is resolve his node base. So the first node I'm going to put in a sharpened node. So that's what was shot, and that's what Resolve sharpened it into. Now, if you look here, this is a mask I put on. You can see it's not sharpening the background, which I like to knock out of focus. It's just sharpening our subject, which does not look good, blurry. It looks better sharp. Don't know what that's going to look like on YouTube, but trust me, it was pretty soft. The next node is my basic balancing node. It's where I just start to... that node didn't do anything. Let me delete that. The next node is going to be my basic color correction node. So if you look down here on the scopes, what I've done is I've brought the blacks down a bit, and I've brought the midtones up a bit to give the shot some more contrast. So that's without the basic grade. And that's with the basic grade, without and with. I also took some of the blue color out of the darks, just a little bit. You can see on the scopes down here, this is how Resolve works. You've got the blue, the green, and the red. It's a little counterintuitive, but when all these line up, you've got black or white. So let's take a look. You can look right there. That's a little more neutral. It was pretty blue right there, and then they're almost all together, which means black. Just blackened up his jacket a little bit. And in this node is where I took care of the background. I did that by a node up here called Hue versus Sat. So this looks intimidating, but it's not. This is how you think of this. This is the yellow, and this is the amount of saturation in that picture of yellow. So I've taken the saturation out of just the yellow, just the green, and a little bit of the teal. So watch what happens when I push this up. We've got like nuclear-looking trees. That means all the greens in the picture are really saturated. And if you bring it down below the line, that means all the greens in the picture are not very saturated. Now, fortunately, this guy wasn't wearing a yellow shirt or a green shirt or a tealish shirt, so if we toggle this node off and on, it's really just affecting the background. You know, sometimes you get lucky. And he's not wearing any of the colors that were offending me in the background. If he did, there's other things you can do, but you know, colorists tend to be lazy people, so we try to go the easiest route first, and that would be just knocking down the yellow, green, and tealishness of that background. And in this node, I've qualified him, which means that's a fancy word for keying. So I've keyed out just his face. If we turn this node off and on, you can see I've taken out some of the pinks from his face. His face got a little blue. I've taken the pinks and the blue out, and I've also done this down here, which is great for close-up shots, particularly of talent. Mid-tone detail is in the number 2 tab here. You see number 1, number 2. Mid-tone detail, it defaults to 0. I mean, you can go crazy with it, and you can go this way and bring a lot of detail in. But what I like to do is I'll put it at 0. I had it at minus 37. What it's doing is, I'll put it higher here. It's kind of softening his face. It's softening the details in his face. Now, that's obviously too soft, but I cranked it all up so you can see what it's doing. You can see it's softening his face a little bit. So the second shot we did for this promo was this shot of these pills. So this is a stock footage shot, and here's what it originally looked like. Now, if you look down here on the scopes, this is the if you know about scopes, this is the brights and this is the darkness. So if you look here, we've got a lot of red in those whites. It's a very warm picture. All this in here, these caps, this background is kind of red. So I didn't want warm for this spot. I wanted cool for this spot. So if I look here on the line, what I've done is I've made the red, the green, and the blue all come together by adjusting my gain. And now I've got a nice white line there. So what I've done is I've got the red, the green, and the blue lines all line up. So if I separate it like this, see how it's very red now? If I make it line up, this is much more whiter. I pushed it to the cool a little bit as well. Yeah, put a little blue in there. So the shot is now balanced. The whites are whites, the blacks are blacks. I also brought the blacks a little bit down, but there's no snap to this shot. There's no oomph. It's not an interesting looking shot. So what I've done is, on this node, turn that one on, I've drawn a mask around the pill bottles, and I've increased the amount of luminance in that shot. So you can see here what I've done. Turn that node off, turn it back on again. See how that pill bottle, they're a lot brighter, it's easier to read. And if you look up here where it's clear, it's kind of like glowing a little bit, which I thought was pretty interesting. So if you look at the original shot, that's what we downloaded from ThinkStock. And this is what I turned it into. A lot more dynamic, a lot more interesting. So I'm going to put the promo at the end of this so you guys can take a look. We ended up treating these shots a lot, but, you know, that happens. But the shots were a lot more dynamic and a lot more interesting than that was originally shot, and it makes the promo snap a lot more. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to try to make more in my downtime. So enjoy. If you have any questions, post them in the comment thread below. Happy correcting.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing, but are you paying more at the pharmacy than you should?
Patients think they're getting a deal when they're not.
The question you should ask to avoid being ripped off. Tonight on Boston 25 News at 10.